All right. Hi, Jen. How are you today?
Hello, hello. I am very
Hello.
good. It's been a very productive day.
Welcome. Happy Thursday. It's almost the weekend. Do you have any fun plans for the weekend?
I think I'm working on Saturday, so that's one thing. No, I mean, we just like to get out and connect in nature whenever possible on the weekends.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm going to introduce Jen. She is our guest today. I'm so excited to talk to you while people are joining us. Just a couple of housekeeping things. While you're joining us, we would love to hear from you. You can use the chat function. I will make sure that it is enabled for everybody. Attendees can chat with everybody. Yes, awesome. So ask your questions in the chat, or there is a Q&A box. You're welcome to ask questions there. I am monitoring both. So as we get to know Jen a little bit better, I'll make sure that all your questions get answered. But let's dive right into who Jen is and why she's here and why we're so excited to talk to her. If I haven't introduced myself yet, I'm also Jen. I realize my name's not on here. I am a Primal Health Coach Institute ambassador. My name is Jennifer Ostman, and I'm talking with Jen Robinson, who is our new admissions director. So we're so excited to have you. You're going to be sharing your health coach journey. You have been doing this for a long time. It looks like over 2 decades in the fitness and health industry. That's fantastic. You've got so much insight to share, and I cannot wait to hear all of the valuable nuggets you're going to share with us. It looks like you were a former competitive bodybuilder. You specialized in natural hormone balancing for the past 6 years. With a degree as a physical fitness specialist and a minor in sports nutrition, your expertise spans gut health, hormone balancing, functional fitness, all through the primal living lifestyle, primal lifestyle that we all know so well. You are a master primal health coach, and I'm super excited to dive into that experience. You are also an all access path member, and I'm jealous. I think this is the coolest thing ever, and I can't wait to get started on that. I love this all access pass. We're going to talk about that for sure. And so we're just going to talk about all the ins and outs of your experience, your profession, and what you have done with all of this amazing experience and expertise that you've gained through Primal and elsewhere. And so again, please ask your questions as we go in the chat, and we are happy to help with any questions that you have. So let's get started. Jen, tell me a little bit about you and what brought you to this world of health and fitness.
Yeah, so kind of a funny backstory. I actually was sent to Texas. I'm from Texas, but we moved to Pennsylvania when I was about 12 or 13 and couldn't wait to get back to Texas. I was going to go down there to go to law school. I was going to do all this stuff. And I remember walking into my very first World's Gym. Now, I've worked out for my whole entire life. I was a gymnast from age 4 until I was 18. I was on one of the gymnastics teams and competitive, all that stuff. So it's always been in my blood. But I remember walking into my first World's Gym. I was 17. I had moved back to Texas to finish my high school English credit in college. I was like done with the schools up here and I wanted to go back home. And I remember going into the gym and thinking, oh my gosh, I want to do this. I want to help people. I just loved to work out and be in there. I think it was more because I was on my own and I could do it by myself. And I never will forget that phone call with my mom. And I told her, I was like, yeah, mom, hey, so I think I'm going to be a personal trainer,
Ooh, yeah.
switching from a law student. That was what the plan was. Because my whole entire dad's side of the family was all criminal justice, military, a very strong military background in our family
Okay.
and on my husband's side. And so that was history. Like, I have been in the fitness industry since I was 17. I did do, trained under some people down there because I wasn't certified or anything, but went to Penn College of Technology and got my first degree, and then carried on with lots and lots and lots of certifications. At one point in time, I was going away every 6 months for continuing education
Oh,
courses. Yeah. So I've held a master fitness training certification through the ISMA, which is International Sports Medicine Association, for many years. And, I have to tell you, you asked me what brought me to my primal journey.
mm,
And I researched the heck out of primal before committing, because I know the experiences that I've had with other certifying agencies, and wasn't always a good experience.
And you've got lots of experience with
Yeah, I mean,
it.
I won't even list all the certifications that I've held, because that's not what it's about. It's about making sure that even just one little nugget that I might have gotten from a particular certification, somebody needs it.
Mm.
And that's what my philosophy has always been. So I always wanted to make sure that whatever I was doing was not only helping me, but aligning with what I wanted for my clients. With having a degree as basically kinesiology is what my degree is founded on. Working with athletes, I very rarely work with athletes now.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming through Primal. So you had mentioned that I was a competitive bodybuilder with the NPC. It wrecked me.
Oh.
So I went from gymnastics into competitive bodybuilding, and progressed pretty quickly. I mean, I was top ranked and had held the Pennsylvania state title for 2 years, the whole works, took fifth place in nationals, blah, blah, blah. But I was never, ever healthy.
Okay, I want to hear more about that. That's
Okay.
very interesting to me. You have, I mean, your whole life from 17 on has been health and fitness, and then you say you're not healthy. You weren't healthy at the time. I want to hone in on that. That's so fascinating.
Nope. So I was always struggling with severe migraines.
Mm.
I was actually hospitalized at the age of 18 for 3 weeks with a severe migraine that they could not treat. And back then we didn't know enough about like aspartame and all that kind of stuff. And here mine was
Sure.
food related and hormone related. So
And
struggled
that's
with,
just a year after you started that first walk into World's Gym at 17. So I imagine like a year in, you're thinking like, yes, this is my life. And all of a sudden you're kind of debilitated by a physical symptom.
well, the symptoms had been there for a long time. I had not been a very healthy person at all. Like, even though I thought I was doing everything right, the way we ate in our home, my mom is a Southern woman, so we ate a lot of Southern foods. And, I tried to do what I could, knowing what I did know growing up. But I really didn't do real good with the nutrition.
Mm.
So I didn't have good education with that back then. And then the biggest struggle is I lived with constipation from as long as I could remember. I think my severe constipation started after I got my period.
Oh,
You know,
wow. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
nobody wants to talk about hormones and periods and cycles, but that's what I do.
We talk about hormones and periods and cycles and poop and all the
Yes, we do.
that's
We
what we
talk
do.
about it all. But that was something that I just thought was normal. Okay, I got my period, so now I'm going to be constipated for like 6 or 7 days. Horrible cycles.
Oh gosh, yeah. And then that became a normal for you, like you
Was
said.
a normal. It
Yeah.
was a normal. So we fast forward to when I was actually competing as a bodybuilder. And I'll never forget, I went out to compete at the Ohio Classics, and I looked like the pillar of fitness. I looked
Mhm.
like I had my, excuse my language, my shit together. You know what I mean? And I remember I used to always blame it on flying. Oh, I'm just bloated because I had to fly, or oh, I just feel miserable because it's jet lag, whatever. I used to blame it on everything but my nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as a sports nutritionist, I taught pre and post fuel with oatmeal and rice. And you got to get the grains in, and whole toast or whole wheat toast is healthy. I was living on this stuff.
Yeah.
I grew up eating cracked wheat as, oop, there we go. Sorry, I thought I had turned that off. Oh, goodness. Hold on one second. I don't even
All
know.
good.
There we go. All right. I forgot to silence it. That's the problem. Anyway, I'm sorry. So I grew up eating all of these foods. Let me get rid of this and turn off my notifications really quick. See, this is why we're supposed to check everything before we
When I was doing the last webinar that I was on, I had
uh-huh.
I had my cat walking across my keyboard, and I had my dog whining at the door trying to get in. I was like, okay.
Well, if in my defense, that was my work phone, so at
I
least my
mean,
phone was
no worries here. That's much more professional than my
sorry
animal
to
phone.
everybody. I'm so sorry to everybody. But yeah, so with my sports nutrition degree, we're taught to teach people that these whole grains are beneficial in the diet. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even rice was tearing me up. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I can get away with sweet potatoes on occasion, but didn't know any better other than what I was taught in my conventional education. Truly. Okay.
Right,
So when
right.
I
And
say,
as far as I'm sorry to interrupt you, but as far as like competition goes,
mhm,
you didn't see anything wrong with your nutrition because you were, like you
I
said,
look
you got
like a pillar
your
of
stuff
fitness.
together. You knew you were winning and you were lean, and it wasn't the outside appearance that was giving you indicators that that diet might not have been working.
Yes, absolutely. So when I was talking about the Ohio Classics, I remember getting out there and my coach took one look at me. I was supposed to step on stage 2 days later.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me, he goes, "You are not ready. You are holding way
Mm.
too much water." And so I was like, okay, great. I just spent all this money. I did all this prep, blah, blah, blah. Now I can't compete. Well, we went, I bailed out. I stayed there, did some interviews and things like that. But I remember they asked me to go to the after party. And I'll never forget saying, "Oh, you know what? No, I think I'm just going to go back to my hotel room. I have jet lag. I'm tired, whatever." And I remember this was like my aha moment. I remember laying in bed with all these pillows shoved around me because I was so absolutely miserable because of how bloated and constipated I was. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like my aha moment. When I was getting ready for nationals in 2010, I I ended up gaining 20 pounds in my prep. Not good weight. Like I kept gaining weight and we couldn't figure out why.
Yeah.
So just like we always tell everybody, "Oh, I'm going to go get my blood work done and see what's going on with me." My blood work came back normal. The
Normal,
only
always. Always.
always normal, but I only did what I knew. I did what I knew.
Yeah. Yeah, you did the best you could with the information you had.
Yeah, so it was like, all right, what am I doing wrong? And I was always blaming it on myself. I must be eating too much. Go
Mm.
figure. You know?
Yeah, right. So tell me about that aha moment. I really want to like, so that aha moment, I see your cat too. You've got a kitty there.
She's right there.
They joined at the same time.
Yes, they did.
Um, Tell me about that aha moment, because I love these stories of the moment that so many times people can look back and be like, that was it. That was the moment I realized that something needed to change, or that something I was doing wasn't working. And so tell me, you had pillows, you were uncomfortable, you were supposed to be competing, and then what happened next after that?
I ended up going when I ended up getting home from Ohio. I told my husband, I said, there is something definitely wrong with me. But I still kept pushing. That was in '08.
Mm,
2010, I'm still putting up with it. The big thing was is in 2010, I did 22 photo shoots and 3 bodybuilding competitions back to back. So this
mm.
leads me to my next aha moment of discovering that I have chronic fatigue. I was 35 years old and chronic fatigue. And it's
Mm.
like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's
My
not
career was over.
right. I was gonna say that's not a diagnosis that you want at 35 at any career, but with yours, that's clearly a game changer. Yeah.
Yeah. So not to boast a company, but I discovered a natural hormone balancing company that changed my life back
Mhm.
then. So in 2000 and I want to say 2014 is when I found them. So I went into hiatus. I gained 50 pounds between 2010 and 2013 or 14. I
Okay.
gained 50 pounds because I didn't know what to do. I was that sick.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could help me. I was eating better than I thought. I was eating better than anybody. I'm eating healthy. What's wrong with me? And nobody could help me. My doctor, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I want to ask that. That's what I was going to ask. It's like, what are your doctors saying? And your blood work
No,
is fine. And
this
tell
is
me
good.
about but that 4-year span where you say nobody can help me. I want to hear all the things that they're telling you.
This is going to piss everybody off. So I went in to see my doctor who had known me since I was 12, 13, whenever I moved here to Pennsylvania. And I ended up having to see his nurse practitioner. And I had my leg crossed over, like my sneaker on my knee, like crossing my legs. And she reached over and she just tapped me on my sneaker and she said, honey, you just need to use these more. That was their
My blood boil.
Yeah, but that's what I was told is, honey, you just need to use these more.
Oh.
And I said, you have my chart in front of you. You know what I do for a living. And I was working out 3 times a day.
What did she say? I'm sorry.
Well, then you're eating too much. She said, then you're eating too much.
Oh my word. Oh my word.
So that was the help that I got. So when I say that I came across this company called Be Balanced Hormone Weight Loss Center. And I was like infomercial, and like late at night, I was up past my bedtime, the whole thing. And I was like, I didn't even know that they were right here in Lancaster. I'm going to go check them out. Well, you know how they always say, don't burn bridges and things always happen for a reason. The woman who was running that center used to work for me at one of my gyms.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love
right?
Small world
right?
stuff.
So I ended up going through this natural hormone balancing program and lost the 50 pounds in, no joke, 3 months.
Wow.
3 months. So then fast forward a year or so later, and I ended up joining their team. 6 years later, I was the CIO for the franchise that I worked for.
That'll change it. That's for sure. Talk about a life-changing decision. Yeah. The small world, making those connections and I mean, like you said, you had 2 big aha moments. And in between those aha moments, you had years of not finding answers. And that is just, so tell me, I want to take a quick pause on your story real quick. I want to make sure that the chat function is working. So if you're here, please drop in the chat. Let me know that you're here, you're able to hear us. And if you have any questions for Jen, I want to, now that we've talked a little bit about her story, we're going to keep honing in on her story. We're going to keep moving forward, but let me know, do you have any thoughts or questions, or do you have any like aha moments? What's that?
Anybody struggling with the same things?
Right. Yeah. Anybody, I want to hear, like, it's just so, the number of times I hear my doctors didn't listen, or my blood work came back normal, or, all these things that I know that, I'm not by any means anti-Western medicine, but it just is like looking for the answer, advocating for yourself. I think that's a really big part of this story, is like continuing to find the answers. Good. Hi, Maria. Glad you're here. Yay. Good. I'm glad the chat's working. Awesome. So let's keep going. You found your answers. You found what was working for you. You made a career of it. And
I actually didn't tell you what worked for me, though.
Oh, tell me. Yes, let's go. I want to hear it.
So within that journey, so I decided to join Primal during COVID. That's when I bit the bullet. I had my first conversation with Laura. I put her through the ringer because I was like, you want me to pay over the phone? I don't know you. I did the whole gamut and whatnot. But through my journey, so one of the cool things that program does is it actually helps you clean out, just like the 21-day reset, clean stuff out, and then slowly reintroduce foods to find out what foods actually work best for your body. Well, lo and behold, that I found out after going through the program, went and had the right tests done. I had severe celiac with an extreme wheat intolerance.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So now I have this beautiful blessing. I always say it's a blessing in disguise, because none of us should be eating that stuff, and especially not in the United States. But it was finding out the foods that truly work for my body. I don't have to count calories anymore.
Isn't that so freeing? All right.
Yeah. So now, will I ever go back to bodybuilding or doing anything like that? No, because it wrecked my body to begin with. It wasn't a healthy sport, but I have the pictures to show for it, a couple trophies to show for it. I did it. I've been there, done that.
Yeah. Heck yeah. We get to all brag on the things that we've done before that we're proud of, and now they don't serve us anymore and we move forward, and that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was one of the reasons why I chose Primal, is because it was in alignment with that, hey, let's clean stuff up.
Hmm.
Let's go back to the beginning and reset. And I remember, I think it was my boss at Be Balance that actually said to me, not long after I started there, she said, and it was a famous philosopher who actually said it, but she said it to me. She said, if you study something for 30 minutes every day, you will be an expert in your field in 5 years. I am
Mm.
living proof of that.
I love that. I love that. In 30 minutes,
Mhm.
30 minutes.
30 minutes a day. Yeah, and I think with Primal, we talk about that, when you're doing the Primal Health Coaching course, the study time is only about 5 to 7 hours a week. That falls in line with that philosophy.
Oh yeah.
So I still am doing a lot of the science or helping behind the scenes with those coaches who work for Be Balance. So like if they're struggling with a client, they don't know how to help someone like with this particular need, I'm the one they reach out to.
Awesome.
So, but the
Awesome.
knowledge that I gained coming through the Primal Health Coaching journey, if they say level up, I leveled up 10 notches in what I know after coming through Primal.
I love that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Primal, it's such incredible information. So I wanna talk a little bit about, um, you said that you really vetted. Here, let's talk to Melanie. She says I'm hypothyroid and constipated, or at least that's what the doctor always says. Yeah, yeah. So Melanie, let us know if you have any questions about what you're looking for. If you're looking for help, if you're looking for maybe some experience from Jen, what did you, I mean, obviously you had a diagnosis. That's one thing I want to say too, is that a blessing in disguise. Talk about having a diagnosis is
Mm-hmm.
something that can be so empowering when
Mm-hmm.
you've been searching and searching and searching for answers and nothing seems wrong, but obviously something's very wrong. Finally getting that diagnosis is like incredibly empowering. So you can start to now, okay, I have this information. This has a title. This has a name, celiac. Now I can research. Now I can start to figure out what I need to do in order to support my body with this diagnosis. So when you were vetting, and I want to talk a little bit about people who are interested in joining Primal, who
Mm-hmm.
come from a background like you do. I think it's a wonderful thing to recognize that you've been in the health and fitness industry for a really long time. So you found a lot of help with the company that you went to and then worked for and then worked your way up. And so what was it that made you decide to take that next step, saying I need another certification, I need another avenue of helping people?
Yeah, so it was never something of the words I need, which,
Mm.
can I take a step back to the label thing?
Yes.
Because I truly believe that when we're coaching clients, that we need to help them understand that a diagnosis isn't a label. It's just a way up. All right.
Mm.
Now that you have that, now that you know, I just like to say that now that you know what you know, what are you going to do with it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so for me, like I say, I choose to believe that it's a blessing in disguise, because I didn't know. And now I know. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I just stop eating those foods.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you
But
know what to do. Yeah, exactly. It's empowering. It's information. Yes.
yeah, so but then when I'm looking at that cake and I'm like, oh man, I could eat a whole freaking chocolate cake. And then I'm like, nope, can't. I know that that's going to make me super constipated.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Not worth it. Not worth
yeah,
it.
so it's like, what do we do with that
Yeah.
information now? Do you want to wallow in it and let that label be your label, or are you going to move up and try to figure out how to either solve it or make it better?
Gosh, I love that, Jen, because I think that is it's a double-edged sword, and you have to walk that fine line between, okay, I'm going to use this information to, like you said, to level up. Now I know what to do. Now I know what foods love me back and what foods I need to avoid. And and then allowing yourself to over identify with your diagnosis, right? Because that's a slippery slope, being into that of like, okay, now, like you said, wallowing, I have this diagnosis, it is now my entire identity, and I can't I can't think or focus anything outside of that, which can be very detrimental to the healing process. Obviously wanting to make sure that you can pull yourself away from that diagnosis and still find the joy and the happiness and the stress management and the tools that you need to thrive, right?
Yeah, I can't, I will own up and admit that when I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue, that I remember thinking back. So one of my very favorite fitness idols is Corey Everson. She was 6-time Miss Olympia.
I
And I
love
went
her.
out to see her in 2000 at Pepperdine University. She did a fitness expo out there, and I was there for the whole entire week. And when she would show up at those events first thing in the morning, she was Corey. Like, let's do this stuff. But I remember she only came back in the evening like 2 or 3 times. And when she came back in the evening, it was like death warmed over her. Like she had aged 20 years.
Interesting.
What it does to you. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is a death sentence. I cannot believe that I have this, you know? And so I did wallow in that a little bit. And then I was like, what am I going to do? You know, I
Mm,
don't want to be 50 pounds overweight. I don't want to be unhealthy. My kid wasn't even out of high school yet. You know, he was an athlete and all this stuff. And the last thing I wanted to do is be the parent that everybody's pointing fingers at, you
mm.
know, and knowing that my background,
Right,
like,
right. Yeah, because that's your identity as well. Like I've done this my whole life. So yeah.
yeah, so I picked myself up by my bootstraps and I started researching, and I did come across Be Balanced at first. But then to go back to your original question of asking me why I kept choosing to do these certifications,
Yeah.
for me, like I said in the beginning, for me, it's always about I never know who's going to cross my path. And I want to be that efficient coach that I can help support whoever I am intended to work with.
Nice.
So that's why. But I'm also a perpetual learner.
Mhm.
I love knowledge. I mean, obviously, I have a ton of books, and I don't like to read paperbacks. I'm an Audible.
Oh, I
If
love
it's on
Audible. Yes.
Audible, I got it. So,
I
but
know. I have read most of these. They are now a decoration because
I don't
everything
know.
else
They're
I do
pretty
is
color
Audible
coded.
now. Nice to reference though. Yeah. So tell me, Jen, I now want to, my question now then is who was the client that you needed to help that you thought in order to best serve this person or this group of people, I want to attend Primal. I need this level of education in order to serve this person.
Yeah. So there's a pro and a con with the company that I worked with. In the very beginning of their program, it was very basic, but it was missing something. Like I said that as a client coming through the program, that their maintenance and their lifestyle phase was missing stuff.
Mm,
Like it's just not complete. And so for me, it was like, okay, I want to be able to make sure that if I'm putting somebody in maintenance, that they're truly going to be able to maintain,
nice.
and that they're truly going to be able to make these lifestyle changes, and what's going to make the difference with that client who might need that tweak, because no one size fits all.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so in my sports nutrition background, that doesn't serve me working with health and weight loss. It really doesn't help me with hormone balance either. And so I was looking for a company or a certification that would help me help them be better.
Love it. Love
And
it.
so I found that the tools that Primal provided, or their philosophy, fit the philosophy that was in my heart.
Hmm.
Now that I knew what had happened with me and what I wanted to see my life progress as. And so I wanted something that would sharpen those tools to help others in that same way.
I love that. That's fantastic. I feel the same way about Primal. I was looking for something fairly specific and I was vetting lots of different schools.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then but it was pretty quickly apparent that Primal was, I came in specifically wanting to get board certified
Uh-huh.
with the NBHWC. And so the way I found Primal was from the NBHWC website. It was like, here are all of the approved schools to make you eligible to sit for the board exams. And it was like Primal, like it just like it popped up and I was like, oh, I know this company. I've followed Mark Sisson for many years. And so I know that's gonna line up with what I believe in. So it was definitely a pretty obvious choice
Uh-huh.
because of that lineup of philosophies for sure.
Well, and you mentioned Mark Sisson, and I think back to what he went through in his athlete days, and then that made it me think about like, oh my gosh, I have like the similar stuff that he went through, the
Mhm.
gut issues, the lack of energy, pre and post fueling with carbohydrates, you know,
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
the stuff that we're taught as athletes,
That's
and
awesome.
that's what I was taught in my conventional education.
Yep.
My kitty is running like
I
crazy
saw.
on
I love it.
the um, she took a nap all day long, but
Now's the time with the zoomies, right?
she's adorable. But so really looking at that element of like, I love, love, love fitness. I'm very passionate about training, but there is a time and a place to do everything. And
Mhm.
I love knowing that I don't have to torture my body 3 times a day and work out like a crazy fiend to look good
Yes.
and to feel
It
good.
can be relatively easy when you're fueling your body with the right foods, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
movement can be enjoyable. That's something I didn't learn until much older. I was like, oh, I can enjoy this. I don't have to punish myself. Like this can be
yeah.
fun.
You know what's something that I connected with that I never, ever, ever would have tried on my own, but it was something that was part of the program of, you need to do it was part of my recovery in order to try to help with the cortisol.
Mhm.
Was instead of going to the gym and beating my body up, I needed to find those exercises that were more calming to the body, like the yogas, the Pilates, the stretching, the core work. So we got a club Pilates here in our town, and I was like, what is this reformer thing? I'm going to go try it. I like to just try new stuff.
Yeah.
I absolutely fell in love with a reformer.
Nice.
And now I own one. I got one during COVID because
Nice.
I needed it. But
That's
that was
awesome.
something new that I put into my repertoire, where in the past it was like, you got to go to the gym 6 days a week, train a different muscle group, do your split the way you have to do it. And I
Oh,
don't do that anymore because of the primal philosophy.
that's awesome. It's funny. When I was going through my health journey, I always thought that I had a serious lack of discipline. I was probably the opposite of you. Like I could never get into a routine. I didn't have the motivation. I didn't have the discipline to consistently do anything. And I
Mhm.
thought that that was a real problem that I needed to overcome. And then learning the primal lifestyle, I was like, oh, this is actually not a problem. I am good at moving my body in a way that feels good. And I love the primal fitness pyramid where you're like sprinting only on occasion when you feel 100% recovered, and then doing lots of infrequent low level movement. I'm like, oh, this is kind of the lifestyle I've been doing naturally. And I thought it was a bad thing. I thought I needed to go hard every
Felt like I
single
was
day.
cheating.
What's
I
that?
honestly felt like I was cheating or
Right?
shortchanging myself when I started training that way.
I
But
bet
then I was like, holy crud, I'm actually seeing changes.
it's working. Yeah.
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 So I remember when I first started going back to the gym, like on a regular, like, because I was trying to just do stuff here in my home gym because I was still embarrassed. Like, I was afraid people were going to be like, oh my God, how is she a fitness professional? And I
Mm.
had lost the weight. It was still up here,
Mm.
that
Mhm.
muscle dysphoria. So I was like, I was still thinking that same way. And I remember I went back to training at Gold's, and I was like super anxious about anybody seeing me. And
Mm.
the very first time I'm in there, and one of my old friends comes in, and I was like, oh, crud. Sure enough, he walks over to me, and this is what he says to me: Jen, are you getting ready for a show? I about melted. I melted because what I was doing the primal way and
Mhm.
doing the Pilates reformer was working.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hadn't even hardly used weights.
Isn't that crazy? You're like, this is too easy. Why is this working so well? Because we're working with our bodies instead of against them. Finally, it's wonderful. All right, I want you to to answer this question for Stephanie, if you don't mind. She's saying, would you share your thoughts on training within your cycle? I've researched a lot in this area and curious on thoughts. And she says she loves resistance training. What's your thoughts on training within your cycle?
So I really love the primal philosophy in the sense of like listening to your body. If I have a heavy cycle, I'm not going to the gym to do legs and squatting and all that stuff. And so I would choose more of those exercises that are going to be gentle on my body, that are going to be um, they're going to make me feel better, so to speak. Uh, that's one of the things that I teach with that. Now, I know that there's some other stuff within the strength training for women, which I haven't taken yet. I can't wait to take it. Like I said, I'm an all access pass student. And so since we've revamped it, I haven't gotten into it. But just listening to your body, stick with that primal philosophy of listening to your body. If you are meant to go to the gym and train chest that day, but your shoulders or your back is like too sore, muscles are too sore, why are you going to do that? Pick a different body part. And so that's kind of where I go with that training thought.
I love that. And what do you recommend for that mindset shift? Because I imagine that the shift from I have to train because if I don't, I'm lazy, or if I don't do it, if I don't go to the gym, the old school, like no pain, no gain, no excuses, got to do it even if you're tired, to honoring I'm tired and I'm not feeling good and I'm on my cycle, and that's not an excuse. That is me honoring where my body is right now. How do you recommend going from the one extreme to the other, or finding that beautiful middle balance there?
So that's part of the journey of learning to treat yourself right. And when you look at natural hormone balance, what's the number one key culprit for estrogen dominance? Stress. And so if I'm already not feeling my best because I've got my cycle and I'm kind of feeling icky in myself, because that's how I always feel, and I don't want to go to the gym and feel more because it's going to increase that stress level. And so being nice to the body and doing those other loving exercises, for me, it was just that switch of just understanding that it's okay. I'm still moving my body. I'm still doing exercises that are going to, for me, it was always, I got to get sore. I got to be sore. But it's just that mind shift of saying, okay, I'm not going home to go sit on the couch.
Yeah.
Now, if I truly, truly, truly did not feel well, like back in the day when my cycles were horrible, which by the way, my cycles are more regular now as a 45-year-old woman than they ever were back when I was an athlete. Like, I don't have any symptoms hardly at all. And that's from that natural hormone balance. But on those occasional days, if I ovulate on my left side, it's not going to be a good day. I'm not going to go and torture my body and put more stress on my body that's going to make me feel worse. Instead, I'm going to go and honor myself by doing some other kind of movement and connecting in nature. Sometimes it's just getting out, connecting in nature. I'm like, hey, I still did something.
Yeah.
Moved my body. So it is that mindset shift. And sometimes it's going to be harder than others. And then, especially when you get back into a really, really good routine, you're like, oh, I can't miss. Well, I'm not going to miss. I'm still just going to go and do something that is more loving to my body.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it sounds like it takes practice. But building that self-awareness muscle, I think, is a big, big part of it. Just knowing what your body needs and saying, all right, I'm going to honor that. Awesome, Jen. Thank you. Okay. So now I want to shift to your career and journey within Primal. So tell me about your ascension and what you've been doing since you first joined the course.
Well, since I joined Primal, my gosh, my life has just shifted tremendously. I truly do believe I manifested this job. I always said that the only way I would ever leave Be Balanced is for the one supplement company that I love, or Primal. Those were the only two companies I'd have.
And lo and behold.
Lo and behold. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I am absolutely loving. I still feel, so even though I'm not doing as much of my own on the side coaching, I still have my national course that I teach 4 times a week on Zoom, which I plan to keep that going for a long time. I'm not doing any one-on-one coaching here locally right now. But I get to help these new students find their true, like, okay, you have a purpose, you have a goal. I get to help them, guide them in that purpose and that process. And it's been so exciting to watch them enroll in Primal. And then they're like on Facebook going, I just did this big thing. I can't believe I did it. I've been following Primal for 10 years and here I am. Right. And and then I'm loving also connecting with the current coaches So I've been trying to call and making my way through the list, trying to call all the current coaches and some of the current students that I haven't met yet, and just introduce myself and just be like, hey, if you're looking for more guidance on this path as far as like what courses to take next, let's talk.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. That seems like a dream job. So let's talk about that. What courses, like you talk to people about what courses would be beneficial to them, what they want to do next on their path, which leads me to the all access pass, which you have. And I want to talk all about that and like what you get with that, what made you decide to enroll in that, and like the benefits of having all access to all the courses.
Yeah. So let me answer your first question.
I
So
tend to
when
ask 3 questions in a row.
I'm a good listener. That's that active listening. So one of the awesome things that we teach when we're going through the coaching portion of Primal is that active listening, that motivational interviewing. And I get to still do that with the students. And so as I'm listening to like their purpose and what drives them to want to do this thing called Primal, um, I'm like looking at my course list going, oh, they're going to be perfect for functional therapeutic diets, or, oh, they're already a nurse. Let's get them in the medical practice course, So it's like I'm making that mental list of like what's going to be a good course regimen for them. And so far, it's been spot on that everybody's liking that thought process. But on occasion, I get to talk to a lot of the current coaches that have already put a lot of money into their education with Primal. And I have some very big news that a lot of coaches don't know that money that you've already put towards your Primal education, I get to take it off of that all access pass price. Yay.
That's
So you asked how
huge.
I came about it? Line and sinker here. Okay. So my predecessor, Laura, was an incredible coach. She is an incredible woman, and lots of conversations with her and Melissa. And which, by the way, if you have not scheduled a call with your counselor, Melissa, you have to do that because she's absolutely an incredible woman. But Laura calls me a week before she's ready to move up into her new role. And she's like, hey, Jen, I don't know if you saw, but we have this really cool thing called an all access pass now. And, you've put X amount of money into it. And how'd you like it if I just put it towards it? I was like, well, what's involved? So when you have the all access pass, you have access to everything that Primal has. The only monies that you have to still pay in are your recertification, that $99 every 2 years. That's the only monies you have to pay in. So let's say we have the all access pass, and we launch a new program. It goes on your dashboard. It's yours. Okay. So normally it's almost a $22,000 value. I think we're almost there now since we just launched the business course, and we're getting ready to launch another one that I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about yet, but it's an incredible.
I won't ask, but I'm excited to hear about it.
So it's definitely going to be a very much a showstopper. So
yeah. Okay. So I want to just reiterate that because that's a huge deal that if you have already paid for any Primal courses that you've taken, you pay the difference between what you've already paid and the all access pass. Like everything you've already paid goes towards the total of the all access pass, which in of itself is incredible. But then you get lifetime grandfathered into every new course that is created. And I think that's just amazing.
And so when I say it's currently almost a $22,000 value, that's not the price on the enrollment. We currently have it marked down 52%. So the all access pass at its normal price is $9,995, but I get to take off what you've already paid and be able to get you in that, and then you're enrolled in everything. The only courses that you have a timeline on, of course, is your advanced coaching class, because we only offer that twice a year, and then the launch your coaching business. Once you start that one, you have to complete it in 6 months. And so we work with you to make sure that you understand that, so you don't lose those two things, but you get everything. So there's already, if I'm not mistaken, I think the last time I heard, there's already 3 courses in the works.
Wow.
So
Okay,
at
so
right now, I got to say this really quick.
yeah,
Right
sorry.
now, that price is only 9,995. But when we start to add those courses in there, that price has to go up. So if any of you guys are thinking about like, okay, I've already paid like 4 grand into my education, I need to book a call with Jen and see what I can do. Because we've been working with the students to try to get everybody enrolled in that, because it's just, is it for everybody? No. If you're not interested in like 4 or 5 of the courses, then don't do it. But if you truly are like, oh, functional therapeutic diets could be beneficial, that human microbiome course could be beneficial for everybody. Here's another advantage. I didn't even mention this. How many of you guys have Primal Pro? Right now, if you have Primal Pro on its own, you're paying an every year licensing fee of 975. I mean, 475, 495, 495. Yeah, 495. When you have the all access pass, you have Primal Pro and no licensing fees.
Wow.
So
That's
that goes away.
huge. That's amazing. That's okay. So that's what I was going to ask is that price locked in, or is that going to start to increase? But that, of
Yeah.
course, yeah. I mean, if they're the more courses, the more value,
Yeah.
that absolutely that price has to increase. And so do we have at all a time frame, a general ballpark time frame as to when that might increase? But
I would definitely try to, if you're definitely looking at doing the all access pass, there's always you want a finite time. I know that big course that I can't talk about yet, is probably going to be launched by either the end of this year or 1st of January. So I would definitely try to get it in as soon as possible.
yeah, that's
That's
amazing. So as the admissions director, I'm gonna ask you, if someone is, you mentioned this may not be for everybody. If you look at the course list and you're like, oh, I don't know, I may not be interested in all of these, but if you have an inkling that you are interested, can you tell us a little bit more about what people do with these courses? Once you are in, you've got the all access pass, are you finding that people are using these in private practice, in their jobs? Like, are they, is this preparing, obviously different courses prepare you for different career paths. So can you talk a little bit more about what people are doing with the courses after they graduate?
Yeah, so a lot of them, like there is this new push for gut and brain health,
Mm-hmm.
like really focusing on hormone, gut, and brain health. So 4 of our courses are directly geared towards that. So in my opinion, if you can find at least 4 or 5 of the courses on the course curriculum that you are interested in, and that Primal Pro and future courses, it's worth the cost of it.
Absolutely.
But what they're using it for is, we all know coming through Primal that you cannot do everything. You cannot specialize in everything. That's not feasible. You really want to hone in on your niche. But so many of our courses are meant to go together, that like, okay, if I'm going to become a primal fitness expert, then of course I want to do strength training for women.
That's what I was
You
thinking.
know,
Right, exactly.
but of course, if you're going to be a fitness expert, you've got to have the nutrition background. So
Well,
it's like
yeah.
layering.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking, you at the very beginning of this said something I loved, which is that you got your continuing education based on how it would serve your clients. You saw the
Mhm.
client's need, and then you're like, I need to learn more about that so I can serve them better. And this is what that feels like could be the answer to that, right? So I know if you have a niche and you know exactly who you're serving, then you will always find that they have questions, right? That you're like, oh, okay, let me, and then you're prepared. You have strength training for women, you have a gut microbiome, you have, like you have all this knowledge that can serve you to better support your clients that are in your niche.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll play devil's advocate with that a little bit, because I can hear somebody saying, yeah, but is it really worth a $2,000 course?
Okay.
To answer one person's question, I'd say I am a true believer in energy. Okay. And so I do believe that when we have that knowledge, we have that heart, that willingness to help people, that when we are brought a certain tool, those people are going to shift into your realm, so to speak. I know that sounds hokey, but that's kind of how it works. I'll never forget, like every morning I like to listen to some kind of podcast just while I'm getting ready for work, doing my makeup, putting my hair together, whatever. I know it takes so much work to have straight hair, but,
right.
but some days I curl my hair. It's kind of crazy that every time I would watch a podcast, I'm like, I don't know if this really interests me. Don't you know, I get a question on that same exact thing that day. And I'm like, voila, I got the answer. And it warms my heart when that kind of stuff happens. That's how I feel about being a perpetual learner. It's not so that I have a bunch of credentials on my wall. It's truly so that I am prepared to be able to help those that come across my path.
And that's, I think that's amazing. I think that's, the more we do this, the more we realize that we are holistic, right? So it's very, very rare that you're going to find someone who has a very specific question about one thing that is not related to a million other things. And that's what I find is that whenever I want to serve clients, they're like, well, what about this? I'm like, well, I need to go learn about that, right? That's exactly, I mean, that's the whole point of this, is that like, I need to go learn so I can serve them well and answer that question. And we know that fitness has a lot to do with the microbiome. We know that, all of these things are connected because we are holistic. And so just having that well-rounded education is so valuable and so in service to all of our clients.
Yeah. The other thing that I love to do though, is when I'm talking to, because a lot of these students that are coming to us are very knowledgeable already. And they've thrown some good stuff at me, which I'm like, yeah, let's do it, but I always am willing to speak up and say, I don't know. I love that question. I'm definitely going to find that answer out for you, and I get excited because I'm like, oh, they just taught me something.
Awesome.
But, it's just been a really cool experience to be a part of this team. And we have a great team that works here. And if you haven't felt supported by this team, you need to reach out, because our intention is to make sure that you feel not only supported during your actual learning journey, but as your coaching journey. We have an incredible woman on our team. Her name is Chloe, who her whole mission is to support the coaches in creating a great business.
Oh yeah, I've met with Chloe. She's awesome.
Yeah, have that call with her, because you guys get that call when you graduate. And then if you haven't gone through the advanced coaching course, that was the best experience of my life. Now, unfortunately, I had to finish the last 2 weeks of my course out as the makeup assignments, because I was transitioning in my position. But the experience that I got learning from other students, learning from the master coaches that participated in supporting Erin in her coaching of us. Erin's knowledge is awesome. She is an incredible coach and a very great person to learn from. So if you have not felt supported, reach out, because there's support.
All right. How do we reach out? How do we find you? What's the easiest way to get a hold of you or Chloe or anybody else who can help us?
So most of us, it's like mine is Jen, Jen at primalhealthcoach.com. Or you can always, for me, I'm super easy to get a hold of, because you can go on the primalhealthcoach.com website and hit book a call.
Oh, even
book
better.
a call gets you to me. But Jen at primalhealthcoach.com is mine, or my direct phone number is 305-394-6453.
Okay.
And I'm going to use the old cliche, because this has actually been happening. My schedule books up very quickly, so definitely get your call in to book. The beginning of the week, my schedule was kind of scarce at the end, and then I looked at my schedule and I was like, oh, yay, I have people.
That's a good problem to have. That's for sure. Love that.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But I'm your gal if you're looking to continue your education and get more certifications and continue that process of strengthening your niche. Or maybe you're looking to like add to your niche. That's the way I look at it. Melissa is the coach to reach out to if you are looking for support during your student time And then Chloe, like I said, is after you've become a coach. So most of us, like I said, it's our first name before and then primalhealthcoach.com.
And Jen, it sounds to me like you would welcome someone coming in and vetting like you did with Laura. That
I
type
do.
of conversation. It sounds to me like you would love to have a conversation with somebody who asks all the good questions, who wants to make sure it's the right fit, who wants
Yeah.
to make sure they're investing in the right thing. So I
Yeah,
love,
I have a
love.
couple of them on my schedule right now. There was one student that I spoke with her 4 times before she felt confident and comfortable in making this journey. There's all kinds of reason why people make this leap or don't make it right away. I researched it for 6 months. I get it,
Yeah.
you know, but just know that you're backed by every one of us have gone through this journey. Every one of us have been in your shoes. And so I think that's often our testimony of what our journey has been is often what makes us really good coaches.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Well, Jen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for
This
having me.
hour flies by because I enjoy talking to you. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
No, I'm just, if I haven't mentioned how excited I am about that all access pass, it's truly, truly, truly the greatest value that we have. And I still, if some of you that are on the call tonight are not Primal Health Coach students, tomorrow is the last day for the 4th of July special. So reach out to me if you're interested in that. It's 20% off the Primal Health Coach certification and launch your coaching business for free.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. The launch
Yeah,
of
that's
coaching
like,
business. I love that course. Love, love,
it's
love.
like almost a $2,000 value and we're
Yeah.
giving it away for 4th of July. So
That's amazing. All right. Well, reach out to Jen at primalhealthcoach.com or yeah, book the call right on the website. Easy.
yeah, thank you guys so
Thanks,
much.
Jen. Have a
Yeah,
great day. Thanks,
bye
everybody.
guys.
Bye.